And third, our suffering points us in the path of freedom and joy. Okay, let's dive into those. I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to die. It's okay. But you know what? I'm playing on house money, right? I should be dead already. Now, that's the key point, right? Buddha said is how we transmute suffering into joy. That's how we find our freedom, right? We're all going to carry that fucking backpack. It gets strapped on us before birth, right? It just said, breathe, have fun, make a mistake. I observe my attachments to outcome, knowing that they will cause me to suffer and that my suffering will point me in the direction of my freedom. Now, that's the key point, right? We think, well, of course I get attached. Well, I don't want to suffer. But the truth is the reality of attachment and the reality of our suffering, Buddha said, is how we transmute suffering into joy. That's how we find our freedom. So that's what we're going to talk about on this lesson, okay? 3 key points. I like to do 3 key points for these lessons. They make it easier for me to kind of stay within a nice brief outline, and I think it makes it easier to track and apply. Number 1, attachment is the human condition, right? We're all going to carry that fucking backpack. It gets strapped on us before birth, right? And we just start carrying it. And even when we realize we can take it off and it's like we put it back on again, right? It's just human condition. It's what we do. Second, attachment is the cause of all suffering. And I'm going to add to that, it's also the cause of all anxiety. Think about it. What would you ever be anxious about in life if you didn't have any attachment to any specific outcome? And third, our suffering points us in the path of freedom and joy. Okay, let's dive into those. Attachment is a human condition. All right, it's normal to get attached to outcome, right? We all see life as it relates to us, right? Me getting to that wheat field, me getting to do my call, me not having a flood come in my house, right? That's human, right? We all get attached. So it's just part of our condition. It's normal to have wants, to want to be happy, to have desire, to want money, to be loved, to have a relationship, to have regular, predictable sex, right? These are all things we want. That's normal. It's really okay. So we might ask, well, what's the problem then? If it's normal to want these things, desire these things, plan our lives around these things, the problem is, and this is where I really have to clarify for people to help them understand. The problem is when we get emotionally attached to a very specific outcome, there's going to be natural and unavoidable consequences, suffering and anxiety. And when we get emotionally attached, I was emotionally attached to wanting to visit my granddaughter for her 17th birthday and spend a week in that wheat field. I was. And if I'd stayed emotionally attached to it, my suffering would have been through the roof. As it was just a little bit of a mild ongoing frustration. But I really did want to go, okay? So that brings us to point number 2. Attachment is the cause of all suffering and anxiety. Most of us have probably heard that Buddha said that attachment is the cause of all suffering. And as I said, I had anxiety to this. Now here, what's interesting is I started teaching this as a concept, I don't know, 15 or so years ago, maybe a little bit longer. This is kind of a later concept into what, I've been teaching, both learning and teaching to men around attachment to outcome. But there's this interesting dynamics, interesting phenomena. When I teach about attachment to outcomes, cause of all suffering, guys get mad at me. I mean, really, I've had men get angry at me. They get pissed at me. And it's kind of like, well, if I didn't have attachments, why would I get out of bed? Why would I go to work? Why would I save money? Why would I walk across a room and talk to that attractive woman when she might throw a drink in my face? So the point is, this is normal, right? This is normal human experience to get attached to outcome, to want, to desire. This is normal. I want that job. I want that promotion. I want that woman. I want some degree of wealth, okay? This is normal human experience. So guys, you don't have to get mad at me for saying you're going to suffer for having this. I didn't make these rules up, right? It's not on me. And in a minute, I'm going to get back to that. What will make you get out of bed in the morning if you don't have attachments? Or why would you talk to that pretty woman if you didn't have attachment? Or why would you save money if you didn't have attachment. Now, again, we all get attached. We want that woman to want us, right? Anybody ever get there? Now, this might be a woman you don't even know, some stranger on the street in a room. It might be your girlfriend. It might be your wife. I want her to want me more. That's an attachment. You're going to suffer. A lot of probably the human conditions, we all get attached. I don't want to ever get my heart broken. I don't want to ever get hurt. That's an attachment. And believe it or not, that avoidance of getting hurt, of getting our heart broken, causes us to suffer to even greater degrees than actually getting our heart broken does. That is an interesting phenomena here. Often it is the suffering of our attachments that hurt a hell of a lot more than the thing that we were actually attached to when you don't get to go spend the week in the week. Hey, I'm Dr. Robert Glover. In case we haven't previously crossed paths, I'm the author of No More Mr. Nice Guy and the founder of Integration Nation, a worldwide community for men. I hope you're enjoying this clip from a recent live Integration Nation call. If so, I encourage you to check out the Integration Nation YouTube channel, where you will find tons of videos, including lessons I teach and interviews I do on these weekly calls. I also publish YouTube shorts, all raw and uncensored. After you've poked around our YouTube channel, go check out Integration Nation at integrationnation.net. With that, I'm in. Back to the video. So, if you get attached, I want to make a lot of money. I have so many guys tell me, I'm going to get rich in cryptocurrency. I want to make $1 million by my 30th birthday. Okay, great. Knock yourself out. You're going to suffer. I have guys tell me, a lot of single guys say, well, I'm in my mid-30s now, and I want to find the right woman to have a family with and have kids because I'm ready for that. And I go, you're going to suffer. And they go, why? Because a woman's going to make me suffer? No, she will, but that's not why. Oh, because kids are going to make me suffer? They will, but that's not my point. My point is when a guy gets specifically I got to find a mother for my kids, the perfect woman to be my wife, as I move forward, because I've got this attachment to wanting to have a family. It's a great desire. But as soon as you get attached, I got to find the mother of my children. Dating becomes a landmine, a minefield. Because every woman you're checking quickly, is she going to be a good mother for my kids? Is she going to be this? Is she going to be that? And you don't actually just even get to know them or let anything unfold. And then should I quit dating her now? Move on? Clock ticking? All of that leads to suffering. It's that specific attachment. Now, again, all of this stuff is normal. And, I get attached to wanting these calls to go well. I mean, they're scripted out, they're planned. We've done them many times. Everybody working with me, they're trained, they're experienced, and shit still goes wrong. Stuff just doesn't happen perfect. And if I'm attached to a specific outcome, I'm going to suffer. I got to find a way to say, okay, it's going to happen. When I did my very first radio interview ever, about 20-something years ago, I was really nervous, really anxious. I was attached to wanting it to go well. And the night before the interview, I just wrote down on a Post-it note, put it by my phone. I was going to do it over the phone. It just said, breathe, have fun, make a mistake. Giving myself permission to make a mistake, to fuck up. Let me relax and go do the call and have fun. The breathing helps along the way too. It's not a bad mantra for life, especially as far as letting go of attachment to outcome. Okay. So think about Chuck's backpack thing. Wouldn't life be easier, freer, more of an adventure, less of a burden, less complicated, less frustrating if we just accepted these truths? All right, we got a backpack on. It's human nature to wear the backpack and throw those heavy balls in the back. And anytime we become aware, we can just lower the backpack, and all of a sudden life isn't so difficult. So see, guys, you don't have to get mad at me about this, about telling you your attachments are going to cause you to suffer. They will. But here's the good news. Point number 3, our suffering points us to the path of our freedom and our joy. When all of a sudden, when everything's a slog, everything's a struggle, everything seems heavy, nothing's working, I'm frustrated, I'm irritable, I'm impatient, I'm this. Guess what, guys? You got an attachment to an outcome. And guess what? It points you to the direction of where you're attached. It's a real simple formula. When you are struggling with that heavy backpack full of balls, you're attached. And if you pay attention to the struggle and can be a non-judgmental observer of it, you notice, where am I suffering? What am I attached to? Where am I holding back? What am I trying to manage? What am I obsessing about? And you can even stop and ask yourself, what do I have to do to take the backpack off? How can I get equally okay with every possible outcome? I asked myself that question several times while I was hanging out at my mom's house with a cold. And when I came away from it, I thought, what if this is the last time I ever see my mother? And what if I was so attached to go visit my son and granddaughter, even going over there with a cold, that I was going to go on Saturday. And my mother looks at me, she says, you don't want to give them your cold. I said, okay, Mom, I'll stay here and take care of you another day or two. That's mothers for you, right? They can't just say, I want you to stay and take care of me a little while longer. You don't want to give them your cold. So you know what? I thought, what a blessing that I had 2 weeks with my mother at 88 years old to lighten her load, bless her life. Maybe me being there to feed her for 2 weeks kept her alive, for those 2 weeks, or maybe for another 2 years. I don't know, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful it turned out that way. I'm happy it turned out that way. So if we can ask ourselves those questions, where am I suffering? It points out to where we are attached. Now, on the other call, I shared a story. Many of you have heard it. I won't tell it because I just want to keep us within a time so we have a good breakout rooms and good Q&A. Most of you know, about 6 years ago right now, I started noticing some health problems that quickly became very serious. And I went 3 months without knowing what was wrong, constant pain. And I won't go into all the details because most of you know, but I had a tumor blocking my small intestine. And just getting through it every day in pain. I had to surrender. I had to let go. I was attached to not wanting to feel bad. I was attached to not dying. And it wasn't until I surrendered into feeling bad and probably dying of what was happening and spent time out in my garden just watching leaves and trees and plants manifesting, unmanifesting, flowers coming and going, leaves. I realized that's just part of the cycle of things. Everything's impermanent. And that was so liberating for me. And since that time, 6 years ago, I had surgery. 2 weeks later, I was on an airplane flying to Seattle to go lead a workshop. And, I've been going strong ever since. And it's like I dropped the backpack. I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to die. It's okay. But you know what? I'm playing on house money, right? I should be dead already. If this had happened to me if this happened to anybody 60 years ago, it would have killed them. I got extra time, extra money to play with. I can go spend the next 20 years making a fucking difference in the world. So you know what? I can get up every day, even when it's a struggle, and go, I'm fucking alive. I'm alive because I was able to surrender into the fact that I'm going to die. So when guys get mad at me and say, well, I don't want to suffer. I don't want to die. Right? I don't want to get old. I don't want to go without sex. I don't want to not have a woman in my life. I don't want to be poor. Great. Those are great desires. But when we can let go of the emotional attachment to specific outcomes, we actually have more energy, more creativity, more willingness to risk. We have more freedom, more passion, more purpose, more direction, more reason to get up in the morning, more reason to play all out. Have you guys noticed that? I play all out. I don't mail this shit in. I show up bringing my A game. Why? Because it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not saying I don't give a fuck. I'm saying it doesn't matter. I'm just going to show up and bring everything I got and then go to sleep at night going, if I die, I die. I brought my best. I brought my A game. Okay. This is the path to liberation, right? When we see what we're attached to, how it's causing us to suffer, go back and practice becoming outcome agnostic, asking ourselves questions like, okay, what am I attached to? What can I handle if this thing happens? Can I be equally okay with every possible outcome? Then we can embrace every moment. We can be grateful for every moment. And we live free. It's beautiful to just get up and live free. And you get up every morning with so much energy, so much creativity, so much energy when you're not emotionally attached. It's supposed to be going this way, or it's not supposed to be going that way. Going back to Chuck's backpack analogy. Thank you again for Chuck that. when you drop the backpack and all those heavy, balls we're packing around, it's a joy to get up in the morning. It's a joy to meet challenge. It's a joy to deal with difficult situations. Welcome them, embrace them, dance with them.